Good morning, students. Today, in the first chapter of the geography, resources and development, we will see the development of resources. The development of resources is very important. Resources are very important for our own survival. Our quality of the life is what kind of life we are leading. That depends on the availability of the resources as well as over the utilization of the resources. As you know, the resources are not equally distributed. Resources, for example, you see that there are people those who are rich, there are poor people. The people having a lot of land resources. So, resources are not equally distributed. As well as in the human being, there is a tendency to accumulate the resources. Every one of us wants more and more land, more and more resources. As Gandhiji once said, that there is enough for everybody's need, but this world is not having enough for one person's greed. So, the resources, development of the resources is very important. All over the world, there are global ecological crises because resources are not equally distributed, first of all, and secondly, they are not utilized properly. As you know, we exploit, sometimes overutilize resources, like cutting of the forest or digging out minerals. So we are not using resources properly. So because of global ecological crisis, the world is facing global warming, ozone layer depletion, land degradation, and the problems like pollution. Pollution is different kinds of pollution. So let us try to understand these, like first global warming. Because of the industrialization, the presence of carbon dioxide gases, sulfur dioxide gases, ammonia, their presence are increasing. Both the gases are important. Oxygen is important. Same way, carbon dioxide is also important. If we have more oxygen, then also it creates problem. And if the percentage of, that increases, then it creates the problem. So because lot of industrialization, lot of there are so many vehicles are there on the road, and they give out lot of smoke, lot of pollution. So that is responsible for global warming. Means in the last 50 years or last 100 years, the temperature of the earth has increased few degrees. And this few degree means 1 degree, 1.5 degree, or even 2 degrees is too much. It brings many disasters, like means the disasters which are like floods, drought, and so on. So the global warming is the main result of our excess or overutilization of the resources. Now, ozone layer depletion. Ozone, O3. We know oxygen is very important for us. But this ozone layer, which is in the upper atmosphere, it protects us from the harmful ultraviolet radiation. And this radiation causes many problems, many ailments regarding skin, and so they're caused by ozone layer depletion. And ozone layer is depleted because of the way we live, like the gases which are used in refrigeration or in air conditioning or in other things. These gases they eat the ozone layer, and so there are holes in the ozone layer, and which allow the ultraviolet radiation to enter into our earth where we live, and which is causing lots of problems. Then comes land degradation because of heavy rainfall, because of floods, because of overgrazing, because of construction activities. The land is getting degraded, land is getting polluted. A lot of poison is added into the land, and which becomes a part of food chain, and ultimately we human being, they fall, they are the victim of this. Then come pollution, different kinds of pollution, water pollution, air pollution, noise pollution. Recently I saw the light pollution. Light pollution means when there is a time of sunrise and sunset. So it is natural to have less light after sunset or no light after sunset. So our environment, our surrounding is developed in this way. But what we see, that lights are on throughout the dark night, and our birds, our insects, they're confused, and so it creates a problem. So light pollution. Rest of you, I hope you know. Now let us come to the sustainable development of the environment. This issue of sustainable development of the environment means we need not to compromise our present generation. When we use our resources, we keep in the mind the future need as well, future generation as well. So the sustainable development of the environment is very important. In 1992, in Rio de Janeiro, the capital of Brazil, in that city, Rio de Janeiro, 1992, Earth Summit was held, where heads of more than 100 nations, they came together and discussed the problem. And then they decided things which we need to follow in 21st century. That is called Agenda 21. In that they decided that the governments all over the world, even the local governments, they will see what are the environmental damages are caused by the over use of resources, over exploitation of the resources, and then which is cause poverty and diseases. We have discussed in the beginning that the resources are not equally distributed. Some are rich, some are poor. But there is a big gap between the rich and poor. Stark gap, big gap. There are the countries which use a lot of resources, like US or like the European countries. On the other hand, there are people, those who are living in Africa, those who are living in Southeast Asia, or those who are living in Latin American countries. So there is widespread poverty and diseases. And whenever there are problems, whenever there are disasters, whether it is by nature or it is man-made, the person who is suffering is the poor person, poor countries. They suffer most. So we need global cooperation for that. That countries of the world, they come together and they try to address basic problems of the people, basic problems of food, employment, housing, health. These issues must be addressed on priority basis. World is spending a lot of money when we need to develop a new taste for the potato chips or a cold drink. Hundreds of crores of rupees are spent. New models of cars, fighter planes, missiles. Hundreds of crores of rupees, thousands of crores of rupees are devoted on their research and development and for their production. Very little amount is spent over the research, over education, or over the health. So I think this we need to change. And if we want to live in a world which we can feel proud of, then we have to change the way we live. Now let us come to our next topic, that is resources planning in India. So India is, nature has given so many resources out there, as you studied in last year, previous classes, or you will study in this coming year. That India is, many resources are there in the country. But if you compare with other countries like Europe or other countries, you'll find that comparatively our country is not developed, or we are poor country. Our standard of living, quality of life is very poor. So, for the development of the country, we need resource planning, and for that we need identification and the inventory of the resources. First of all, we identify the resource. Like if you are in Rajasthan, then you identify that solar energy can be used. Or if you are in Chhattisgarh or Jharkhand or even Madhya Pradesh, you find that the many resources are there, mineral resources are there, which can be converted into the finished products. But these states are poor because the resources have not been developed. And for the development of the resource, what you need? You need appropriate skill in technology. These days, technology is very expensive. The developed countries all over the world, they have accumulated those technologies and they keep with them. And technology is very expensive. So therefore, we need to develop appropriate skill and technology. And for that, again, you have to spend a lot of money over education. You have to spend a lot of money over the development of the institutions. So this is a long process. So for the resources planning in the country, we need long vision, a long-term plan, maybe plan for maybe 10 years, 20 years, maybe 50 years. Now, let us come to the conservation of the resources. So as we said, there is enough for our need, according to Gandhiji, but not for anybody's greed. So we need to conserve the resources we used to take minimal approach. Minimal means we should reduce our needs. Means suppose you need two good pens. We need to accumulate no, 10 pens, 20 pens, like that. The minimum resources, and as Gandhiji's approach, that simplicity, live with minimal things, try to live. And I think in our culture, we have these things that we need to look into it and try to conserve our resources. So the students, please go through the lesson, and next time when we'll meet in the third part of this chapter. Till then, goodbye.